Night has fallen. The world outside is quiet. You close your eyes, letting the last traces of daylight dissolve into darkness. But as your body sinks into stillness, something extraordinary begins to happen. Inside your skull, billions of neurons light up in patterns more complex than any machine ever built. Your heart slows, your breathing softens, yet your brain, paradoxically, becomes more active than it was during the day. Here's the unsettling truth. You spend nearly a third of your life unconscious, but this absence is not wasted time. In fact, without these hours of darkness, you simply could not survive. Why? What is so vital about sleep that evolution made it non-negotiable? Why do our minds slip into strange worlds of dreams every single night? And what really happens to your body when you surrender to sleep? Stay with me, because in the next moment you will discover why sleep is not rest, but a secret labor of survival, an unseen journey that may decide your memory, your health, and even the length of your life. Since the beginning of human history, people have tried to explain the strange phenomenon of sleep. Imagine a tribe sitting around the fire thousands of years ago. When darkness fell, their eyes closed, their bodies grew limp, and for hours they lay motionless, as if life itself had paused. To them, sleep was both familiar and terrifying. In ancient Greece, they called it a little death, believing that every night the soul wandered away, not certain if it would return. In Rome, sleep was described as a cousin of mortality, a rehearsal for the eternal silence. In the East, dreams were seen as sacred pathways, guiding messages from ancestors or warnings of the future. Even in medieval Europe, people whispered that during sleep the body was defenseless, that demons or spirits might come to torment the soul, and yet no one could resist it. No ruler, no priest, no warrior could command himself to live without it. Sleep conquered everyone, from kings to slaves. It was not a choice, it was a force of nature. Fast forward to modern science and the mystery only deepens. For centuries, philosophers debated, is sleep simply the shutting down of the mind? Is it idleness, or is it something more? In the 20th century, with the invention of electroencephalography, the ability to record brainwaves, scientists discovered the shocking truth. The sleeping brain is not silent. It is roaring with activity, shifting between rhythms, producing patterns as complex as during wakefulness, sometimes even more intense. And that discovery changed everything. Sleep is not passive, it is not wasted, it is not empty. Sleep is work, harder work than you might imagine. Think about your body as a city. During the day, traffic fills the streets, shops are open, factories run at full speed. By night, the city does not disappear, it transforms. Workers clean the streets, repair broken pipes, restock warehouses. Night is when maintenance happens. Without it, the city collapses. Your body is the same. Sleep is its night shift. Why then do we need it so desperately? Let us look closer. First, energy. Every cell in your body is powered by mitochondria, tiny factories producing fuel for life. Throughout the day, these factories are exhausted, drained by constant activity. At night, while you rest, they refill their reserves, restoring the ability to power every heartbeat, every step, every thought. Your blood pressure drops, your heartbeat slows, giving your cardiovascular system a chance to repair itself. Imagine your body as a phone. Each night, you must plug it in. Skip charging once and it runs on fumes. Skip too many nights and it shuts down entirely. Second, memory. When you are awake, your brain is flooded with sensations. Every sound, every sight, every decision, they pile up like unsorted files on a cluttered desk. At night, your brain becomes an archivist. It picks up the scattered papers, organizes them, and places them into proper cabinets. Important memories are reinforced, trivial ones are discarded. Without this process, learning becomes nearly impossible. Have you ever stayed awake all night to study only to forget everything the next day? That is because your brain had no chance to save the data. On the other hand, a good night's rest can turn fragile impressions into lasting knowledge. Third, emotions. Every day brings storms, stress, frustration, fear, joy. They weigh on your mind like heavy luggage. Sleep acts like a silent therapist, helping you unpack those emotions, smoothing out the sharp edges. REM sleep, in particular, allows you to revisit stressful experiences in a dreamlike state, but without the same surge of stress hormones. It is like reliving your fears in a safer environment, training your brain to process them calmly. That is why people deprived of sleep quickly become irritable, anxious, even depressed. They are not only tired, they are emotionally broken. Fourth, immunity. Your body is a battlefield, constantly fighting invisible enemies, viruses, bacteria, cancerous cells. During sleep, your immune system is reinforced. Special proteins, cytokines, are released to combat infection and inflammation. Antibodies multiply. White blood cells patrol more actively. Miss one night of sleep, and studies show your immune response can drop by up to 30%. Imagine standing guard at a fortress, and suddenly 1/3 of your soldiers vanish. That is how exposed your body becomes after just a single sleepless night. And all of this builds to one undeniable truth: sleep is survival. Without it, energy fades, memory fails, emotions unravel, defenses collapse. Evolution did not give us sleep as an optional pleasure. It forced it upon us as a non-negotiable necessity. There is not a single animal on Earth that can live without it. Dolphins may sleep with half their brain at a time. Birds may nap in flight, but every creature, from insects to humans, must surrender to it. You may think of sleep as lost hours, but in reality, it is the very foundation of your life. Sleep may look like one long stretch of unconsciousness, but in reality, it is organized into repeating cycles. Each cycle lasts about 90 minutes and contains several distinct stages. Over the course of a night, you usually go through 4 to 6 of these cycles, and the quality of each stage determines how rested you feel in the morning. The first stage is drowsiness. It lasts just a few minutes and serves as the transition from wakefulness to sleep. Your muscles relax, your heartbeat slows slightly, and you may experience sudden twitches known as hypnic jerks. These are harmless but can feel like falling. This stage is very light. If someone wakes you, you may not even admit you were asleep. The second stage is light sleep. It takes up about half of the night. Here, body temperature drops, heart rate slows further, and eye movement stop. The brain produces sleep spindles, short bursts of activity that help stabilize sleep and protect it from interruptions. This stage is also involved in memory processing, even though it does not feel particularly deep. The third stage is deep sleep, also called slow wave sleep. This is the most restorative phase for the body. Blood pressure decreases, breathing slows, and the brain produces slow, high amplitude waves. During this time, growth hormone is released, muscles repair themselves, and tissues recover. If you are woken from this stage, you will feel groggy and disoriented, a state called sleep inertia. Deep sleep is especially important for physical health and immune function. The final stage of the cycle is REM sleep, rapid eye movement. It usually begins about 90 minutes after falling asleep and occurs several times a night, with periods becoming longer toward the morning. During REM, brain activity is high, almost as if you were awake. Breathing and heart rate increase, and your eyes move rapidly under the eyelids. At the same time, the body is paralyzed through a mechanism called sleep atonia, which prevents you from physically acting out your dreams. Most vivid dreaming occurs here, and this stage is crucial for emotional regulation, learning, and creativity. After REM ends, the cycle restarts, beginning again with lighter stages. The first half of the night contains more deep sleep, while the second half is dominated by longer REM phases. Both types are essential. Deep sleep restores the body. REM sleep supports the brain. The architecture of sleep is not random. It is a biological program refined by evolution. To wake rested, healthy, and focused, your brain must complete these cycles in full again and again every night. Every night, whether you remember them or not, you dream. On average, you spend almost 2 hours each night inside these inner worlds. That adds up to more than 5 years of your life lived entirely in dreams. Some are vivid and unforgettable, others dissolve the moment you wake, but the fact remains, dreaming is one of the most consistent and universal experiences of human existence. For centuries, people tried to interpret dreams as messages from gods, predictions of the future, or hidden desires. Even today, dream interpretation fills books and conversations. But science shows that dreams are not mystical messages from outside. They are a product of the brain itself. The real mystery is not whether dreams matter, but why evolution preserved them in every human being. One leading explanation is memory. During the day, your brain takes in enormous amounts of information: words, faces, emotions, tasks. At night, it must decide what to keep and what to discard. Dreams may be the byproduct of this sorting process. The brain replays fragments of experiences, strengthens important memories, and clears away the unneeded ones. Experiments confirm this. People who are allowed to sleep and dream after learning something new perform far better than those who stay awake. Without dreams, learning collapses. Another explanation points to emotion. Each day fills you with stress, frustration, joy, and fear. If you carried all of that unprocessed into the next day, your mind would be overwhelmed. Dreams may act like a built-in form of emotional regulation. When you dream, the brain reactivates emotional centers but with reduced stress chemicals. It replays intense situations but softens their sting, as if giving you safe practice in handling them. This is why people often feel calmer about yesterday's problems after a full night of sleep. There is also the theory of threat simulation. Nightmares, however unpleasant, may have had survival value. By simulating dangers, being chased, falling, facing conflict, our ancestors could mentally rehearse their reactions. Even if you wake with your heart racing, that mental training may leave you better prepared for real threats. And then there is creativity. Dreams connect thoughts and ideas that are usually separate in waking life. Some of humanity's great discoveries and works of art are linked to dreams. Dmitri Mendeleev claimed that the arrangement of the periodic table came to him in a dream. Paul McCartney awoke with the melody of yesterday in his head. The chemist Friedrich Kekulé described how the structure of the benzene molecule appeared to him in a vision during sleep. Dreams loosen the rigid logic of the waking mind and allow new combinations to form. Combinations that sometimes change the world. But not all dreams are positive. Nightmares can disrupt sleep and leave lasting emotional traces. They are common after trauma and can be a symptom of disorders like PTSD. However, even nightmares reveal something important. The brain does not rest quietly at night. It actively processes our deepest fears. Some people experience lucid dreams, states in which they realize they are dreaming and can sometimes influence the story. Neuroscientists studying lucid dreamers have found that self-awareness regions of the brain light up in these moments. Lucid dreams show that the border between waking consciousness and dreaming is not absolute. The mind is capable of awareness even inside its own illusions. Why does this matter? Because dreams are not just entertainment. They serve your memory, your emotions, your creativity, and possibly your survival. They help stabilize your personality and preserve your mental health. Without dreams, your nights would be biologically incomplete and your days would be harder to endure. So when you dismiss a dream as nonsense, remember, your brain chose to generate it for a reason. Every night, it is not only repairing your body, but also shaping your identity, your emotions, and the way you will face the next day. When you close your eyes and drift into sleep, it may feel as though everything shuts down. But in truth, your body enters one of the most active and carefully coordinated states of the entire day. Organs, cells, and chemical messengers begin a complex routine that is vital for survival. Night is not rest, it is a shift in operations. While you sleep, your body runs maintenance, repair, and defense. One of the first systems to take charge is the endocrine system, the network of hormones. Hormones are like messages sent through the bloodstream, and their timing depends heavily on the sleep-wake cycle. At night, melatonin rises. This hormone, produced in the pineal gland, tells the body it is time to rest. It synchronizes your internal clock with darkness and helps regulate the circadian rhythm. Without it, your sleep would be shallow and irregular. Meanwhile, cortisol, the stress hormone, drops during the night. This is essential because high cortisol keeps you alert and tense. As it falls, your body can fully relax, lowering blood pressure and heart rate. Then, toward the morning, cortisol begins to rise again, preparing you to wake and face the day. The balance of melatonin and cortisol is one of the key rhythms that keep your body aligned with the day-night cycle. Another critical player is growth hormone. Released during deep sleep, it stimulates cell repair, muscle growth, and tissue regeneration. Children and teenagers who need this hormone for development require more deep sleep than adults. Even in adulthood, growth hormone is crucial. Without it, wounds heal slower, muscles weaken, and recovery from exercise is impaired. This is why athletes who neglect sleep often struggle to build strength, no matter how hard they train. The immune system also reaches peak activity during sleep. At night, the production of cytokines increases. These are proteins that fight infection and inflammation. Antibodies and white blood cells multiply, patrolling the body for intruders. Studies show that people who sleep less than 7 hours a night are far more likely to catch colds and infections than those who sleep 8 hours or more. One night of deprivation can reduce immune response by up to 30%. Sleep is, quite literally, a natural vaccine. Inside the brain, another crucial system is at work, the glymphatic system. It acts as a cleaning network, flushing out waste products that accumulate during the day. Among these wastes are proteins like beta amyloid, which are linked to Alzheimer's disease when they build up in excess. During deep sleep, channels in the brain widen, allowing cerebrospinal fluid to wash through neural tissue and carry away toxins. In simple terms, the brain cleans itself at night. Without this cleansing, toxins accumulate and damage brain function over time. Meanwhile, the cardiovascular system adapts. Heart rate slows, blood vessels relax, and blood pressure decreases. This nightly pause is essential for long-term heart health. People who consistently sleep less than 6 hours face a much higher risk of hypertension, heart attacks, and strokes. Sleep is not only for the mind, it is a direct protective factor for the heart. Breathing also changes. It becomes slower and more regular, especially during deep sleep. During REM phases, however, breathing can become irregular, even shallow, as brain activity increases. For most people, this is harmless, but in conditions like sleep apnea, where breathing repeatedly stops during the night, the consequences are severe. Oxygen drops, the heart is strained, and risk of cardiovascular disease increases dramatically. All of these processes show one truth: sleep is not a passive state. It is an active biological workshop. Your hormones are adjusting, your immune system is mobilizing, your brain is cleaning itself, your muscles are repairing, and your heart is resting. Deprive yourself of this nightly work, and the cost is enormous. Studies link chronic sleep deprivation to Alzheimer's disease, obesity, diabetes, depression, and shortened lifespan. Every night, your body turns into a factory of health. Energy is restored, memories are processed, tissues are repaired, and defenses are reinforced. To the outside world, you look motionless, but inside, you are anything but still. Sleep is not escape from life, it is the foundation of life itself. It is easy to think of sleep as flexible. Many people believe they can cut back a few hours at night and make up for it later. But the truth is, the body does not work that way. Even small amounts of lost sleep accumulate, and the effects are immediate, measurable, and dangerous. After just a few hours without sleep, concentration begins to decline. Attention drifts, reaction times slow, and simple tasks require more effort. Driving in this state is particularly risky. Studies show that being awake for 17 hours reduces reaction speed to the level of someone with a blood alcohol concentration of 0.05%. After 24 hours without sleep, performance is as impaired as if you were legally drunk. At the 24-hour mark, the brain struggles to maintain focus. Memory lapses appear. Decision-making becomes poor and emotional control weakens. Irritability rises, frustration grows, and the ability to handle stress collapses. At work or in school, this translates into mistakes, accidents, and lost productivity. By 36 hours without sleep, the body begins to break down physically. Hormone balance shifts, appetite increases, and metabolism is disrupted. The immune system weakens further. At this point, the brain also shows clear signs of dysfunction on scans. Reduced activity in areas responsible for attention, decision-making, and coordination. At 48 hours, the effects are severe. The brain has difficulty integrating information, mood swings intensify, and microsleeps begin to occur. Microsleeps are brief, uncontrollable lapses into sleep lasting a few seconds, during which you lose awareness completely. These moments are dangerous. A driver experiencing a microsleep can travel the length of a football field without realizing it. At 72 hours without sleep, the mind enters a state of instability. hallucinations appear. People see shapes, flashes of light, or even full visual scenes that do not exist. Thought becomes disorganized, memory collapses, and paranoia can set in. Emotional control is nearly gone. The brain, deprived of rest, begins to break down its connection with reality. The longest scientifically documented period of voluntary wakefulness is 11 days, achieved in 1964 by a high school student named Randy Gardner as part of a science project. By the end of the experiment, he was severely impaired, his speech was slurred, his memory was failing, and he experienced hallucinations and confusion. Although he recovered after sleeping, the experiment revealed how fragile the mind becomes without rest. No ethical study today would attempt to repeat such extremes because the risks are too great. In rare cases, sleep deprivation is not voluntary but caused by disease. One example is fatal familial insomnia, a genetic disorder in which people gradually lose the ability to sleep. Over weeks and months, their bodies and minds deteriorate, leading to death. This condition proves in the most extreme way possible that sleep is not optional. It is a requirement for life. Even less extreme, chronic partial sleep loss, sleeping 5 or 6 hours per night instead of 7 to 9, has serious consequences. Over time, it increases the risk of obesity, diabetes, cardiovascular disease, depression, and shortened lifespan. The damage is cumulative, and the body cannot simply catch up on weekends. Sleep debt does not work like a bank account. It cannot be repaid in full. The conclusion is unavoidable. Without sleep, the brain and body collapse. The effects are progressive, predictable, and devastating. You cannot train yourself to live without sleep. You cannot cheat biology. Evolution designed sleep as a non-negotiable function. To deny it is to deny life itself. Sleep is not just about closing your eyes when you feel tired. It is governed by powerful internal mechanisms, biological rhythms that control when you feel alert and when you feel ready to rest. These rhythms are hardwired into the body, and they shape not only your sleep but also your metabolism, mood, and even your risk of disease. The most important of these is the circadian rhythm, a natural 24-hour cycle synchronized with the rotation of the earth. Deep inside the brain, in a region called the suprachiasmatic nucleus, a cluster of about 20,000 neurons acts as the body's master clock. This clock receives signals from light-sensitive cells in the eyes, telling it when it is day and when it is night. Based on this information, the brain coordinates the release of hormones, the regulation of body temperature, and the timing of countless other processes. Light is the main signal that keeps this rhythm in sync. When morning sunlight enters your eyes, melatonin production shuts down, cortisol begins to rise, and your body prepares to be active. In the evening, as darkness falls, melatonin increases again, lowering alertness and helping you transition into sleep. For millions of years, this simple pattern, daylight for activity, darkness for rest, was the foundation of human biology. But modern life constantly challenges this system. Artificial light from lamps, screens, and city streets sends confusing signals to the brain. Instead of experiencing clear cycles of day and night, the body receives mixed messages. Bright light late in the evening, dim light in the morning, and irregular exposure throughout the day. This desynchronization leads to shallow sleep, delayed bedtimes, and difficulty waking up. Blue light from phone and computer screens is especially disruptive because it strongly suppresses melatonin. The effects of breaking circadian rhythms are profound. Jet lag is a common example. When you fly across time zones, your internal clock stays aligned with your home environment while the outside world has already shifted. For days, sometimes weeks, you may feel fatigued, unfocused, and unable to sleep properly. Shift work produces a similar effect, but on a chronic scale. Nurses, factory workers, and night shift employees often live with constant circadian disruption. Studies show that long-term shift work increases the risk of depression, obesity, heart disease, and even certain cancers. The World Health Organization has classified night shift work as a probable carcinogen because of its consistent disruption of biological rhythms. Circadian rhythms do not govern sleep alone. They regulate nearly every organ in the body. The liver has its own internal clock that controls when enzymes for digestion and detoxification are most active. The pancreas follows a rhythm that affects insulin release. Even your immune system has timing, with certain defenses stronger at night. These organ-specific clocks are coordinated by the brain's master clock, but when disrupted, the result is internal chaos. For example, eating meals late at night confuses the liver's clock, leading to poorer glucose control and a higher risk of diabetes. When circadian rhythms are stable, sleep is deeper, memory sharper, mood steadier, and health stronger. When they are broken, the consequences build silently. Chronic circadian disruption accelerates aging, weakens immunity, and increases the risk of cardiovascular and metabolic disease. It is not just about feeling tired, it is about long-term damage to the body's structure and function. The lesson is clear: sleep is not only about quantity, but also about timing. A full night of rest at the wrong hours does not equal the same rest at the right ones. Your body is tuned to the cycle of light and dark, and trying to escape that design comes at a heavy price. Even with decades of research, sleep still hides secrets. Science has uncovered much about its structure and importance, but some experiences remain puzzling, balancing between biology and mystery. These moments remind us that sleep is not just recovery, it is also an unknown frontier. One of the most striking examples is lucid dreaming. In an ordinary dream, you drift through events without control, swept along by the story your brain creates. But in a lucid dream, something changes. You suddenly realize you are dreaming. In that instant, awareness returns, and sometimes control. People report flying, altering the environment, or confronting fears directly. Brain scans show that during lucid dreams, areas responsible for self-awareness become active again, bridging the gap between waking and dreaming states. Researchers even managed to communicate with lucid dreamers in real time. Volunteers answered simple yes or no questions with pre-arranged eye movements while asleep. This phenomenon blurs the line between consciousness and unconsciousness and challenges the definition of what it means to be awake. Another mysterious state is sleep paralysis. It occurs when the brain wakes up from REM sleep, but the body's paralysis mechanism has not yet released. For seconds, sometimes minutes, a person is fully aware but unable to move or speak. Breathing feels heavy. Pressure may be sensed on the chest, and many report vivid hallucinations. Dark figures in the room, a presence watching, or a weight holding them down. In folklore, these experiences were described as demons, spirits, or night hags. Today, science explains them as a mismatch between brain and body, but the terror they bring feels more real than any rational explanation. Around 1 in 3 people will experience sleep paralysis at least once in their life. Dreams also contain another puzzle: repetition. Many people report recurring dreams, familiar places, repeated themes of being chased, falling, or facing an exam they never studied for. These dreams may reflect unresolved conflicts, persistent fears, or simply the brain rehearsing scenarios over and over. Yet why the mind insists on replaying the same scenes across years or even decades is still not fully understood. Beyond science, dreams have always invited mystical interpretations. Ancient cultures believed dreams were journeys of the soul, messages from the gods, or glimpses into other realities. Even today, people describe dreams so vivid and meaningful that they feel more real than waking life. While neuroscience frames them as products of memory and emotion, the subjective experience often feels like something beyond biology. What is clear is that sleep is not uniform unconsciousness. It is layered, dynamic, and filled with phenomena that challenge our understanding of the mind. Researchers admit that despite progress, many questions remain unanswered. Why do we dream in symbols? Why do some people lucid dream frequently while others never do? Why does sleep paralysis bring such consistent hallucinations across cultures and centuries? Sleep remains, in part, a mystery, and perhaps it always will. For every answer science finds, new questions appear. Each night, when you close your eyes, you enter not only a biological necessity, but also a territory where the boundaries between body, brain, and imagination are still unknown. We often think of sleep as a passive activity, something we give into when exhausted, but science shows that sleep is also a tool, a resource that can be used, optimized, and even weaponized. When managed well, it sharpens the mind, strengthens the body, and protects mental health. When denied, it weakens, destabilizes, and destroys. Athletes know this better than most. Sleep is as essential to performance as training and nutrition. During deep sleep, growth hormone stimulates muscle repair and bone strengthening. Reaction time improves after a full night's rest, while even minor sleep restriction makes athletes slower and less coordinated. Studies with basketball players show that extending sleep by just 1 hour a night improves sprint times and shooting accuracy. Runners, swimmers, and weightlifters all perform measurably better after nights of quality rest. No supplement or workout can replace the restorative power of sleep. The same principle applies to the brain. Sleep directly influences concentration, memory, and creativity. In experiments, people deprived of sleep for even a single night struggle with tasks requiring focus and logical thinking. Their error rates soar and their ability to solve problems declines sharply. Meanwhile, individuals who sleep adequately show improved learning, sharper decision-making, and enhanced creativity. Some companies and research institutions have experimented with nap programs, discovering that even a short nap in the afternoon can boost productivity, memory, and innovation. The military has long recognized sleep as a strategic resource. Armies know that sleep-deprived soldiers are slower, less accurate, and prone to mistakes that can cost lives. At the same time, researchers have explored controlled sleep schedules and naps to maximize endurance in combat. Some experiments involve sleep banking, getting extra sleep before a mission to reduce the damage of future deprivation. Others test drugs and techniques to delay the need for sleep, though these never replace the true benefits of natural rest. History shows the consequences of fatigue in warfare: poor judgment, failed strategies, and catastrophic errors often trace back to exhausted leaders and soldiers. In the modern world, sleep is also tied to mental health. Chronic lack of rest increases the risk of depression, anxiety, and even psychosis. Patients with insomnia are more likely to experience mood disorders, and treating sleep problems often improves emotional stability. In therapy, restoring healthy sleep is sometimes the first step toward healing the mind. Night after night, sleep serves as a natural antidepressant, balancing emotions and protecting psychological resilience. Sleep is not only a defense against weakness, it is also a key to longevity. Long-term studies show that people who maintain regular, sufficient sleep live longer, healthier lives. They have lower risks of cardiovascular disease, obesity, diabetes, and neurodegenerative conditions like Alzheimer's. The path to a longer, sharper life does not run only through medicine or technology. It runs through the hours we spend asleep. Looking to the future, scientists are exploring ways to use sleep more deliberately. Some research investigates targeted memory reactivation, where sounds or cues presented during sleep strengthen specific memories. Others look at sleep manipulation to accelerate learning or rehabilitation. It is possible that in the decades ahead, sleep will not only be preserved but enhanced, used as a tool for education, therapy, and performance. In the end, sleep is not weakness, it is strength. It sharpens reaction, fuels creativity, heals wounds, stabilizes emotions, and extends life. To neglect it is to throw away one of the most effective tools evolution has given us. To respect it is to unlock a hidden advantage, one that no drug or machine can truly replace. Every night, when you close your eyes, something extraordinary happens. From the outside, it looks simple. A person lying still, silent, disconnected from the world. But inside, an entire universe of activity unfolds. Your brain cycles through stages, your body repairs itself, your immune system strengthens, your memories are organized, and your emotions are balanced. Sleep is not absence, it is work, invisible, essential, and irreplaceable. Think again about the question we began with: what happens to your body when you sleep? Now you know it is not just rest, it is survival. Your brain paralyzes the body to create dreams. It cleans itself of toxins that could otherwise destroy memory and cognition. It builds new proteins, heals damaged tissue, and regulates hormones. Your heart, your lungs, your immune system, all of them depend on these hours of the night. We also saw what happens when sleep is missing. Just one night without it weakens your immune defenses, dulls your memory, and slows your reactions. Several nights lead to emotional breakdown, hallucinations, and dangerous lapses of judgment. Chronic deprivation increases the risk of heart disease, diabetes, depression, obesity, and dementia. In rare cases, like fatal familial insomnia, the inability to sleep is not just suffering, it is death itself. Sleep is not optional, it is the price of being alive. And yet, sleep is not only a necessity, it is also a gift. It fuels athletes, artists, soldiers, scientists, and ordinary people alike. It is where ideas are born, where stress is soothed, where creativity blossoms. It is the hidden force behind learning, resilience, and even longevity. In the coming decades, science may learn to use sleep more deliberately, improving memory, accelerating recovery, and even extending life. But no technology will ever replace it fully. So the next time you lie down in the dark, remember, you are entering not emptiness, but the most important process your body knows. Sleep is the invisible shield that protects your health, the silent teacher that shapes your mind, the nightly therapy that heals your emotions. And here is the final question. Knowing all this, how will you treat your sleep from now on? Tonight, when you close your eyes, remember your brain will keep working, harder than you can imagine. And perhaps in the quiet hours of darkness, it will give you not only rest, but also an answer you have been searching for.